Chapter 15 3 months. The red-shirted woman was precisely the fire-type Soul Emperor that had nearly brought calamity upon Huo Yuao and Wang Dong. If she really was as old as she looked, her talent had already reached a level that couldn't be described with the words extremely startling anymore. Throughout the entire history of the Douluo continent, even when the first Soul Masters had appeared, a 20-year-old Soul Emperor could rank amongst the top in terms of talent, so much so that they could even be compared to Shrek Academy's first generation Shrek 7 monsters. The aged voice belonged to the white-clothed elder who brought her back. When she heard his question, the red-shirted girl, who was named Xiaotao, blankly shook her head. I don't remember anything except for a patch of red appearing in front of me. After that, I felt something life-threatening. I tried to resist, but after that, I woke up here. The white-clothed elder furrowed his brow and walked up to her. He spoke in a low voice. Why didn't you tell me that you couldn't suppress the evil fire within your body? Aren't you aware that you almost caused a calamity? 2 students from the outer courtyard almost died to your evil fire. Xiaotao was dazed. I didn't know that it would be this serious. I thought that I could control it. But the white-clothed elder let out a long sigh before saying, the longer you suppress it, the stronger it'll be when it erupts. Xiaotao, from now on, postpone your cultivation. Even if you're the most outstanding genius Shrek Academy has had in the past several hundred years, you can't destroy yourself for the sake of the school. If the evil fire destroys your consciousness in the future, your teacher will regret it for the rest of his life. Xiaotao stubbornly replied, no, teacher, I want to cultivate. I guarantee that it won't happen again in the future. I can even feel that the evilness and heat from the evil fire have been suppressed. There definitely won't be any problems in the near future. It's just, what kind of power is actually able to suppress my evil phoenix fire? The white-clothed elder spoke with a thoughtful tone. It's an extreme, peak-level ice-type energy. Its purity far exceeds that of your evil phoenix fire, and somewhat resembles the absolute frost breath of the ancient ice dragons. It's completely suppressed the evil phoenix fire's effects on your body, far more than any of the methods we've used. Xiaotao asked with a doubtful tone. However, it's simply impossible for it to be an ancient ice dragon, much less in our academy. Could it be someone who's infiltrated the academy? The white-clothed elder shook his head and said, I've already sent some people to investigate. I originally thought that it might have been some people from their families who'd been sent to protect them, but after I investigated them, I discovered that that was impossible. They're called Wang Dong and Huo Yuao. Huo Yuao is a special student from the Tang sect, so I asked Bei Bei about him. He and Tang Yu met him in the Great Stardow Forest, then brought him back with them. His talent is ordinary. He's even an orphan. There's no way that an expert would follow him around and protect him. On the other hand, Wang Dong has quite a large background. However, his background isn't specialized in ice-type martial souls. As for the academy itself, I've asked around several times. There are many students and teachers with ice-type martial souls, but a peak-level ice-type martial soul like this has never been spotted amongst any of them before. It's truly strange. Xiaotao replied, teacher, forget about it. You don't need to continue investigating it. The white-clothed elder spoke. This matter concerns your future. How could I not be worried? If I can at least find the person who possesses this ice-type martial soul, and if he turns out to be male, I'll let you be a couple with him. That way, you'll be able to neutralize the negative effects brought about by the evil phoenix fire within your body. That's the only way that you can truly soar into the heavens in the future. However, right now, you're completely restricted. Not only has your cultivation speed decreased, even your life's at risk. Xiaotao's charming face went red. I don't want to get married, much less to a person I don't like for the sake of his martial soul. The white-clothed elder sighed. The problem is, your evil fire can't be restrained. Xiaotao humped and replied, I'll restrain it. I don't want to marry anyone. The white-clothed elder said angrily, Ma Xiaotao, if you continue to be this unruly, I won't recognize you as a disciple anymore. When Ma Xiaotao saw that the white-clothed elder was angry, she immediately began to behave. She proceeded to speak in an aggrieved tone. But, teacher, the white-clothed elder rubbed her head. Foolish girl. Your emotions can be cultivated, but you only have one life to live, let alone how much talent you have. No matter what, teacher will make sure that you find a good partner. Nanan, I brought some roasted fish from that kid from yesterday. Don't worry, I didn't use any violent methods to obtain it. I queued up and bought it. Shu Sanchi spoke with a polite tone as he stood in front of Jiang Nanan, who planned to walk to the canteen. Jiang Nanan shook her head. No need, thank you. Shu Sanchi probingly asked, do you think I was too violent yesterday? Actually, I'm not normally like that. It's just that, because of you, Nanan, I know that you still hold a grudge against me because of what happened that time, but couldn't our reunion at Shrek Academy be considered a sort of destiny? I really like you. I promise to be faithful to you until I die. Jiang Nanan coldly replied, I remember telling you that we take what we needed, then walk our separate ways after meeting that time. There's no chance that anything will happen between the two of us. Shu Sanchi, you're a high and lofty noble. Why do you have to bother a little woman like me? I can't even give you anything. Please don't interfere with my life in the future. If you continue, I'll report it to the school. Also, please don't bully other students because of me. When she finished speaking, she turned around to walk away. However, she was blocked by Shu Sanchi, who angrily said, me, bully other students. Don't you know how badly that Bei Bei bullied me? The person roasting fish yesterday was his junior brother, which he then used as an excuse to swindle me out of 2 mysterious water pills. Tang Yu even shot a dragon beard needle into my waist. Thus I have a huge bruise there now. Just what's wrong with me? You're not even willing to give me a chance. Jiang Nanan coldly replied, you went to a place like that at such a young age, so what can be so good about you? When she finished speaking, she turned around and left. This time, she directly jumped up, her 3 yellow soul rings immediately lighting up. Her ears seemed to faintly elongate and prick up, while her body appeared to become even more slender. She pushed off the ground with her legs, and appeared 10 meters away, before rapidly running away without turning back. As he gazed at her shrinking back, Shu Sanchi fell into a daze for a while. Afterwards, he fiercely bit off some of the roasted fish that he was holding. Shu Sanchi, you're such a loser. What's so amazing about this? I'll eat it myself. Hey! This roasted fish tastes quite delicious. Huo Yuao, I didn't think that the quality of your roasted fish would be so high. How about this? After I treat you to dinner, you can treat me to some roasted fish. How does that sound? Wang Dong spoke with an excited expression as he recalled the delicious fragrance of the roasted fish he'd just eaten. Huo Yuao couldn't help but laugh. You couldn't possibly want to eat roasted fish every night, could you? Even if it's as tasty as you say it is, you'll still get tired of it if you eat it too much. Wang Dong replied, no worries. I don't care. Let's talk about that when I've managed to satisfy my cravings. It's settled. I want to eat 4 roasted fish tomorrow night. 2 fishes just weren't enough to satisfy me. Besides, did you see how many people were in line today? I think that you should sell a few more fish. It doesn't waste too much time anyway. If you don't, we'll finish eating them before you've even started selling them. By this time, the 2 had already packed up and returned to their dormitory. Before returning to their rooms, they decided to head to the canteen to get some dinner. Wang Dong, since my eldest senior brother gave me another mysterious water pill, do you think that I should eat it or the soul advancement pill first? Huo Yuao took out the 2 pills and asked Wang Dong. Wang Dong was clearly more knowledgeable than him in the field of medicinal pills. After receiving the 2 pills, Huo Yuao was truly feeling somewhat impatient. If he added the medicinal properties of the 2 pills to his own cultivation, he wouldn't be behind the other students in their class anymore. Wang Dong thought for a while, before replying, I'd recommend that you not be so eager to take these 2 pills, at least, for the time being. Why? Huo Yuao asked with a puzzled expression. Wang Dong replied, think about it. You just used a mysterious water pill yesterday. A lot of your body's impurities have already been flushed out. The medicinal efficacy of the mysterious water pill will stay in your body for a period of time, but will be dissolved as you continue to meditate. If you take any other medicine right now, even though it'll still have some partial effects, you'll waste some of its medicinal power. The mysterious water pill and the soul advancement pill can both be described with the words heavenly treasure. Since you have such precious pills, you should naturally make full use of them. I suggest that you cultivate for around 10 days or so. Wait until your body has managed to fully absorb the effects of the first mysterious water pill before you use the second one. You'll be able to improve your physique by a step, while increasing your soul force at the same time. Once you've finished absorbing the medicinal effects of the mysterious water pills, both your physique and passageways will have had a rather large improvement. If you then use the soul advancement pill, since your body will be free of obstructions, you'll naturally be able to obtain the greatest amount of benefits possible. Huo Yuao felt that Wang Dong's analysis was extremely reasonable. Thanks. I'm lucky that you told me about all of this now. If you hadn't, I wouldn't have known how to use them effectively. What about you? Are you going to eat yours today? Wang Dong nodded his head and said, I'm already at rank 21. My physique and passageways are in extremely good condition. It's naturally perfect for me to absorb the soul advancement pill as soon as possible. When I eat it, I'll be able to dissolve its medicinal power in a single night. I'll be at rank 22 tomorrow, or possibly even rank 23. Didn't Senior Xiaoya say that she'd let me enter the Tang sect if I rank first in the freshman's assessment? After eating this soul advancement pill, I'm even more certain that I'll be able to achieve first place. Alright, I'm going to start now. You should go and cultivate by yourself. After he finished speaking, he took out the walnut-sized soul advancement pill and popped it into his mouth. He bit into it softly, causing an extremely strong fragrance to immediately gush out of the pill. Wang Dong inhaled softly, then immediately began to suck a green liquid out from the pill. He didn't even waste the pill's outer shell. He popped it into his mouth and chewed it a few times before swallowing it. At that moment, the dawn became suffused with a natural fragrance that resembled a cluster of 10,000 flowers. Huo Yuao's mind felt refreshed, while all 36,000 of his pores seemed to open up accordingly, causing a hard-to-describe stimulation to spread through his entire body. He didn't dare to waste any time, hurriedly sitting on the ground in a cross-legged position to take advantage of the fact that his soul force had been adjusted to an optimum state for cultivation. After the baptism of the mysterious water pill, cultivation was simply a form of pleasure for Huo Yuao. He quickly entered a meditative state, then began to circulate the mysterious heaven technique without any obstructions. It permeated throughout his body while simultaneously increasing his soul force slowly, albeit at a very stable rate. A faint jade light gradually started to emerge from Wang Dong's body, followed by the strong refreshing aura that was circulating throughout the room. Some of it was absorbed by Huo Yuao, but even more of it was inhaled by Wang Dong as he practiced his breathing exercises. Under the stimulation of the soul advancement pill, his soul force had begun to increase at a startling rate. After the twists and turns that had occurred to him 2 days ago, Huo Yuao's school life started to calm down. Not only that, but he'd gradually begun to gain some fame. Practically all of the students and teachers who tried his roasted fish had unceasingly praised it. Huo Yuao increased the number of fish he sold from 20 to 30, but he was still far from satisfying the desires of the students and teachers. However, he wasn't willing to make any more, as he still needed most of his time for cultivation. For the sake of a single roasted fish, many students would rush out of the school once class ended. Moreover, because of the high demand for his roasted fish, he had no choice but to impose a limit of 1 fish per person. However, although the demand for his roasted fish was as high as it was, Huo Yuan never increased his price, causing him to receive unanimous positive reviews from the students. Furthermore, he even made several new friends. The number one beauty of the outer courtyard, Zhang Nanan, still ended up eating one of his roasted fish in the end, though she queued up by herself in order to buy it. However, the more interesting thing was that, even though Xu Sanqi wasn't able to please Dang Nanan with the roasted fish, he also liked its taste. Hence, he became one of Huo Yuao's most faithful customers. In the blink of an eye, the first 3 months of school had passed. Under Zhou Yi's teaching, which was strict to the point of being perverted, Class 1 could be said to have completely transformed. However, the upper echelon of the academy was slightly astonished by the fact that there were actually between 60 and 70 students left from the 3-month baptism of Class 1, which Zhou Yi had been in charge of. This was leagues apart from the school's 1/3 estimate. If one were to ask who changed the most in all of Class 1 during these 3 months, the answer would undoubtedly be Huo Yuao. When he entered the academy, his soul force had nearly been rank 11. In addition to that, he just obtained his soul ring. His strength had been absolutely dead last when ranked in the academy, without any suspense at all. However, after these 3 months, Huo Yuao had completely changed. Furthermore, not one person had challenged him for his position as class monitor since he'd taken up the role. It wasn't because Huo Yuao had used his strength to astonish everyone, or that no one could beat him. Instead, it was because his vigor had sparked the admiration of the students in Class 1. This was the main reason that 2/3 of the class was able to persevere in Class 1, even under Zhou Yi's strict teaching. Huo Yuao was truly too hardworking. Practically all of the teachers who taught Class 1 knew of his existence. No matter when the class was, nor what lesson was going on, there would always be a pair of eyes focused on the teacher for the duration of the entire lesson. The owner entirely focused on listening to the teacher's explanation. Neither talent nor his strength were that great. However, he was always the most attentive person in the class. Zhou Yi's level of strictness was second to none in the academy, but not even she was able to find any faults with Huo Yuao. Her long and cruel physical training was considered torment to students of the same age as him. Yet not only had he persisted till the very end of every single training session, he even trained more at night. This was something that Zhou Yi had discovered one night, purely by chance. It just so happened that she needed to go and do something that day. By the time she returned to the academy, it was already late at night. When she'd walked past Shrek Plaza, she discovered, to her astonishment, a figure slowly running around the running track. Moreover, the soft clanging of metal had even been ringing out. When she focused, she was able to see the figure of a shirtless, sweat-drenched person. The chainmail on his body had already been soaked with sweat, and every step he took was extremely heavy. Zhou Yi was even able to see the line of sweat that the figure had left behind on the ground. The figure, which wasn't very tall, yet had both steady and persistent footsteps, was precisely Huo Yuao. Zhou Yi had been deeply stunned by his actions. He was actually giving himself extra training in the middle of the night. Zhou Yi had called out to Huo Yuao in order to ask him what he was doing, to which Huo Yuao had simply replied, "Teacher, I have poor talent. I have to work slightly harder than the others. And, if I meditate after going through physical training, it seems to speed up a bit." Zhou Yi somewhat suspected that Huo Yuao had known that she was going out that day, which was why he purposefully put on a show for her. However, she dismissed this thought not long after she thought of it as, no matter if it was windy or rainy, a stealthy figure would always appear in Shrek Plaza. His running sessions would last over 4 hours and, in addition to that, his chainmail had gradually split in two. When everything was said and done, this was still a school. Even though Huo Yuao didn't tell anyone, his actions were still found out by his classmates. There were even a few students who tried to train with Huo Yuao, but none of them were able to last longer than 3 days. They already had high-intensity classes during the daytime. If they continued to train late at night, it would no longer be simple physical training. This was practically torturing one's own body. However, Huo Yuao still managed to persevere with this torture to his own body. He made the impossible possible. His level of vigor received both the acknowledgement and admiration of every the students in their class. Furthermore, Huo Yuao managed to forcefully persevere for an entire 3 months despite Zhou Yi's harsh requirements, allowing him to become one of the 67 freshmen left in Class 1. Hard work can make up for one's deficiencies. These are very simple words, but how many people can truly make them a reality? And yet, Huo Yuao had done it. Thus, he'd reaped the benefits of his hard work. Make no mistake, the main reason for his cultivation increasing by such a large amount within such a short period was still because of the 2 mysterious water pills and the soul advancement pill. However, he hadn't just increased his soul force. He'd had a comprehensive improvement. It didn't matter if it was his knowledge, or his various skills. He'd shed his mortal body and bones during the past 3 months. He'd originally been slightly shorter than Wang Dong, but his height was now roughly the same as Wang Dong's. His body had also become much more rugged. He didn't have any exaggerated muscles, but if he were to expose his upper body, you would clearly be able to see that it had become well proportioned. Every single one of his muscles seemed to be filled with an abundant amount of power. Most importantly, Huo Yuao's physique had undergone a heaven-defying change during the past 3 months. This sort of change was due to both internal and external factors. It absolutely wasn't just caused by the 2 mysterious water pills. Since he'd obtained a special understanding of the mysterious heaven technique, Huo Yuao made sure to report it to Tang and Bei Bei. However, the 2 of them weren't able to replicate the passageway nourishing energy that he'd found. The reason that Huo Yuao had trained his body late into the night was because the nourishing effect of the mysterious heaven technique would appear whenever his stamina and soul force were completely exhausted. The intangible changes that were caused by the nourishing effect he felt every time it occurred caused his passageways to expand slightly, but the feeling gradually grew weaker as time passed. However, his cultivation speed was increased by an enormous amount as a result. When Huo Yuao took the second mysterious water pill, his cultivation speed became 7 times faster than it had been at the start. At the same time, the impurities within his body were one step closer to being entirely expelled. After the past 3 months of cultivation, his body's passageways being broadened unceasingly and had become much more durable. As of now, his cultivation speed was 10 times faster than at the start. This was an astonishing increase in cultivation speed. When Huo Yuao has used the second mysterious water pill, his soul force had increased by a full rank, bringing him to straight to the peak of the 13th rank from the peak of the 12th rank. After he'd used a period of time to adjust his body's condition, he'd taken the soul advancement pill. Sure enough, the resulting increase in soul force brought about by it was even more impressive. Hua Yuao's soul force rose 3 consecutive ranks, before finally smashing through the 4th bottleneck, resulting in his soul force reaching the 17th rank. Now, Hua Yuao's cultivation had reached the average level of the other students in his class. The most praiseworthy thing about this was that he'd relied on his own cultivation to do so. During these past 3 months, his soul force had continued to increase. He'd reached the peak of the 17th rank, and was close to breaking through to the 18th tank. This was still due to the fact that he'd had to stabilize his foundation after using medicine for his previous breakthroughs. It could definitely be said that his current degree of talent was no longer that of the trash-like degree he'd had when he just entered Shrek Academy. We'll stop today's physical training here, as Zhou Yi stood behind the teaching platform. Her aged face remained indifferent. However, as long as her class was still going on, practically every single student would sit perfectly straight. No one would dare to make any sort of strange movements. As of today, 3 months have passed since you started school. You're all about to face your first assessment since entering Shrek Academy. If you pass this examination, you'll formally become first-year students, and will truly become students of Shrek Academy. If nothing unexpected happens, you'll be able to continue cultivating within the academy until your first-year graduation exam at the very least. The assessment will begin tomorrow, so I'd first like to discuss the main points of the assessment. It was rare for Zhou Yi's voice to be as soft as it was. As she swept her gaze across the 67 students beneath her, she was actually extremely pleased with them. Perhaps the quality of this batch of students might not be stronger than the previous batch of students, but after 3 months of teaching, their willpower absolutely surpassed any previous year's group that Zhou Yi had taught. To Zhou Yi, this was definitely an unexpected surprise. As the class monitor, Hua Yuao had played the role of an extremely important role model. Hua Yuao. Present. Hua Yuao instantly stood up and respectfully replied. After 3 months, Hua Yuao's respect for Zhou Yi absolutely came from his heart, and it wasn't because of her strength. Although Zhou Yi frequently came up with some strange ways to teach, and had even tormented them to the point of them wanting to die, it had to be said that her teaching abilities were extraordinarily strong. Furthermore, these strange things that she'd done had had a much greater effect on them than they could have imagined. Because of this, not only had the students of Class 1 had a great change in their psychological state, but the ones who were left after the last 3 months had an aura as firm as a boulder around them. Hua Yuao had observed the students from the other classes, but he hadn't been able to sense the same sort of temperament from them. It was just as Bebe had said, even though Zhou Yi was a very strict teacher, one would definitely become an outstanding student, or even a true expert in the future, so long as that person could persevere through her classes. Zhou Yi beckoned towards Hua Yuao, causing him to hurriedly walk towards the teaching platform and take a stack of papers from her. He didn't need Zhou Yi to tell him what to do, as he quickly handed them out to every single student in the class. Zhou Yi said, after the freshman assessment ends, your classes will be in line with your abilities. Write down the direction you wish for your future cultivation to go, and give it back to me later. The direction she was referring to was organized as such: assault, defense, control, and auxiliary. These were the 4 types of soul masters. During the first 3 months of teaching, everyone would be together in the same class. However, once the true freshman classes had started, everyone had to be separated. After all, the difference in cultivation paths between soul masters from different categories was extremely large. After Hua Yuao had returned to his seat, he was the first one to write down which direction he was going to follow. He naturally wrote down the words control system soul master, before signing the bottom of the page with his own name. However, he didn't notice that Wang Dong, who was sitting next to him, had glanced at the contents of his page before writing down his own. Zhou Yi said, you're all students that I've taught, even though you'll be split into different classes after this assessment. I hope you brats won't forget the things that I've taught you. Hand your papers back to me after class. Now then, I'll go over the main points of the freshman assessment. As she was speaking, Zhou Yi turned around and walked back to the blackboard. She then drew a few lines, and proceeded to write the word battle in the middle of the blackboard. Battle. That's right, you'll have to fight in the freshman assessment. Furthermore, it's a battle that everyone has to participate in. I know, the tool soul masters amongst you lot, and especially the auxiliary and food system ones, will find this very strange. Why do you have to participate in the fight as well? Well, you didn't hear me wrongly. You all have to appear on the battlefield too, just like the battle soul masters. Even though Shrek Academy educates all types of talented soul masters, your ability on the battlefield is still the most important thing. I told you all this once before, on the day that school started. Ever since the appearance of soul tools, the line dividing the types of soul masters has begun to blur. Even if you're an auxiliary or food system tool soul master, you'll still be able to explode with an extremely strong combat power by relying on soul tools. However, where will your combat instincts come from? Don't tell me that a soul master can just be given a soul tool, and will then be magically able to survive by dim-wittedly standing around on the battlefield? Obviously not. Your combat instincts have honed from real battles. Because of this, all of you will have to undergo this combat assessment. Of course, the academy naturally won't allow auxiliary system tool soul masters to fight with assault system battle soul masters. That's just too unfair to you lot. As such, the freshman assessment will be conducted using a form of team battles. However, there won't be too many people in a team. Ultimately, the academy has decided that this year, there will be 3 people per team. This is a rather high number for people at your age to attempt to synergize well with. When you're making your groups, you can only have 1 assault system soul master at most, while your other 2 team members can be chosen as you wish. We'll first put students who are in the same dorm room together into teams, and let you make the rest of your teams as you wish. As for people who aren't able to join a team, we'll draw lots to decide your teams. If you wait a moment, I'll give you a rather rational plan to create your own teams. The freshman assessment will be conducted with every single student from the entire year participating, as the number of students who've joined Shrek Academy year is quite large. This time, there'll be a total of almost 300 teams of students participating in the freshman assessment, but only half of them will be able to remain in the academy, which also means that only the top 150 teams will pass. This ranking will be based off of how many points you accumulate in your battles. Your matches will be organized by a lot drawing, with every team having to fight in at least 10 matches. Finally, a ranking will be created based off of the number of matches you've won. Of them, the top 64 will have a knockout round, with the top 4 teams in each getting a different prize. The prize for the champion will be extremely precious. Every student in the room was listening with rapt attention. To them, the freshman assessment was the key that decided whether or not they could stay in the academy. If they were eliminated, they could only return and choose another sub-first ranked college. If they did, they might not be able to ever become a pinnacle expert on the Douluo continent. They already worked hard for 3 months. Nobody wished to get eliminated at this point in their studies. Zhou Yi indifferently said, our class currently has 67 people, thus we can make 22 teams, with 1 person remaining. I'll divide all of you up according to your martial souls, and after doing some careful analysis, I'll help you make your teams. If anyone isn't satisfied, you can change your teammates after returning to your dorm. However, if no one disagrees when we register tomorrow morning, then you'll have to strictly follow my arrangements. If you do, I think you're all pretty clear on what'll happen. Song Jinghan. Zhou Yi said in a low voice. Present. A somewhat small student quickly stood up. He'd never been too conspicuous within the class, so he clearly hadn't thought that Zhou Yi would call him out first. Zhou Yi said, every teacher in charge of a freshman class can propose that a student directly pass the assessment. The person that I'm choosing is you. After observing you for a while, I believe that you're the most suitable to join the Soul Engineering Institution and continue cultivating. Do you have any problems with that? Right now, you have 2 choices. You can either join to the Soul Engineering Institution, or you can pack your bags. Overbearing. She was truly too overbearing. Every single student within the class simultaneously looked over at Song Jinghan. I'm willing to go to the Soul Engineering Institution. Thank you, Teacher Zhou. Song Jinghan didn't resist Zhou Yi's overbearingness at all, excitedly jumping up and down. The reason that he came to Shrek Academy had been to enter the Soul Engineering Institution in the first place. Zhou Yi gestured for him to sit back down. Next, we'll be splitting you into teams. The first team is Hua Yuao, Wang Dong, and Xia Xiao. Hua Yuao and Wang Dong practically stood up at the same time. They'd originally been willing to form a team anyway, but when they heard Zhou Yi personally group them together, they looked at each other and were able to see the happiness reflected in each other's eyes. The other person who stood up with them was a female student who sat in the front row. She wasn't tall. In fact, she was quite small, just like Song Jinghan. She didn't particularly stand out in the class, either. Her various abilities seemed to rank amongst the middle of the class. The little girl wasn't especially beautiful, but she had a delicate and pretty look, and could at least be appreciated. Her face had a hint of bashfulness when she turned around. However, her gaze directly went right past Huo Yuao and landed on Wang Dong's increasingly handsome face. Her face reddened, before she turned back around and lowered her head. For the second team, we'll have Zihao, Ma Qingchuang, and Leng Leng. For the third team, Zhou Yi looked and sounded very overbearing, but after she finished announcing the division of the teams, every student in the class seemed to have been relieved of a heavy burden. As Huo Yuao coolly observed the class, he couldn't help but let out an inward sigh of admiration. Even if teacher Zhou normally had a cold expression on her face, and was very strict, in reality, she thoroughly understood every single one of her students. These groups had clearly been thoroughly thought out by her. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.